Hi, welcome back. So today I have Christi Meyers with me. I'm a counselor and musician. I'm currently interviewing musicians to ask them how they're doing during this time of isolation and how this is affecting their lives. So welcome, Christi. I know Christi from Victoria, from when I lived in Victoria and had a few lessons with her back maybe 10 years ago or so. It's really good to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Would you like to introduce yourself to the audience, say a bit about you and what you're involved with musically?
Okay. So my name is Christi Meyers. My main job is that I'm a professional classical violinist. I exclusively earn my living from playing. And my main job, because usually professional musicians have more than one job. My main job is with the Victoria Symphony, and I'm the assistant concertmaster. I have been with that orchestra since 2001. But in the last 10-ish years or so, I've become more increasingly interested in Baroque music. And so I play Baroque violin, and I have a group here in Victoria that I helped found almost 10 years ago. But I also play quite frequently with Pacific Baroque Orchestra in Vancouver. And I do a little teaching, but mostly it's playing at this point.
Okay, great. So you were busy with playing mostly with the symphony, with the Victoria Baroque. So I imagine things have changed quite a lot for you then in the last little while. Yeah. Do you want to tell us about that? What's been most challenging for you?
Sure. Well, I mean, what's most challenging is that there is currently no performance of live art happening really anywhere in the world, except in people's living rooms or practice rooms, or however they might decide to video something or share otherwise over the internet. Yeah, I have no work for the time being. I haven't now for 6 weeks, and won't have any really until, I mean, the fall at the very earliest, but really that doesn't seem feasible at this point. And I think that the further we get into it, the reality of this is that it's that this sort of normal experience of getting together communally, whether it be to come to a concert, to play a concert, or for sports activities, or for, I mean, any number of ways that we as a society gather they just can't happen until there is some vaccine. So it's tremendously uncertain, and it actually kind of calls into question whether my career as I know it, or I have known it up to this point, can even continue.
That sounds very unsettling.
Well, most days it's most days I just kind of practice avoidance and go outside and do some gardening and do a lot of cooking, or sort of taking the day by day activities. But I mean, on those nights that I might wake up in the middle of the night and start thinking about that, those are the fears, actually. Those are the deep-seated questions and fears that have to be, asked and have to be dealt with. And we're so much at the mercy of how they continue to structure society or open up our society, that it is certainly unsettling, because it's not by my choice that I decide to upend my whole life. It's actually just it's a pandemic, and it's how we have to respond. and how our government has chosen to respond.
What are your predictions for the future? I know we don't really know, but what are you hoping for? What are your predictions for playing again?
Well, I'm pretty optimistic. So, I mean, I guess I'm either optimistic or I just close my violin case up and start retraining for something else at this point. But I would like to be optimistic. So I think that obviously the internet is a great resource, and there's a lot of discussions happening. And there's lots of examples happening on the internet already of how people are sharing their live art, coming together as a group of people, sharing their live art. It's, is it really satisfying? It's not, because while it's sort of a best effort, I think it can't replace that experience of the immediacy of that communal experience of being together, whether or not you're on stage or you're in the audience. I mean, that's one of the things that as a human, that's why our human experience is rich. I mean, our human experience is not rich in isolation. It's rich because of the interactions that we have with other people. So for the time being, though, that has to be curtailed. So videos. I think that, I mean, this Baroque group that I'm playing, I'm just in conversations actually with our artistic director, and we're sort of brainstorming, and does it involve with certain protocols or precautions in place, either having a concert that then can be either live streamed, where musicians actually do come together and rehearse, but again, under certain protocols. Maybe in conjunction with a few people in the audience. So if there's a limit of gatherings of 50 people, we do it in a space where there can be proper social distancing observed. So people are spaced, let's say, if we're performing in a church, throughout the whole sanctuary, and you play the concert a couple times, you shorten your concert so that more people can come. It is causing us to ask all sorts of questions, but certainly for a large ensemble like an orchestra, it's hugely, hugely problematic, because there's not just this whole social distancing, but how to actually, if I am literally half a concert hall away from the tuba section, or the trombones, let's say, how can we hear and function as a cohesive group? Or just even look at the violin section, the first violin section. We always sit in groups of 2 in a line. So if we all of a sudden have to be 6 feet away from our stand partner, our desk partner, that again is just a whole different set of challenges.
Yes.
It's not impossible, but I don't know. I mean, there's the actual practicality of creating the music, but then there's also do our audience, who are mostly in a fairly vulnerable demographic with regards to how this pandemic is affecting people, in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, are they even going to want to come into a theater? And when will they want to come into a theater? So it's a bit grim, actually, to be honest. It's a bit grim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think it's really important that you're talking about this, and you share your feelings and your what you think is happening. I'd like to get people together like yourself. I'm running a workshop actually for musicians to talk about this this thing actually, and how you're managing and how things are going, so that there's a sharing going on.
Yeah, I think it's so useful, because I think that the range of experience, of human experience, that happens even on a daily basis when you're struggling with the fact that the world is perhaps forever changed. At least our expectations of how things are going to work. It's definitely a process, and there are days where, you know, the anxiety is large, or not. And then there are days when you are just sad, when you are just sad. And you can keep yourself busy. I'm really, really good at keeping myself busy. But, you know, at a certain point, you have to address this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fortunate financially that I'm not in a too terrible position, because my husband has a job outside of music that is ongoing. But wow, do I have lots and lots of colleagues who are not in that kind of position. And it's one thing for one partner to, you know, try something new, but it's another thing if both of them at the same time are, you know, grappling with these massive life changes. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Christi, thanks for joining me today. It's been great to hear your feelings.
Oh, thank you, Tom. Thanks for having me. Thanks for listening. It's you know, I mean, I don't think it's without possibility that this will all, I'm not going to say it's going to blow over, because I think it's going to take a while. And certainly there have been, you know, throughout the ages, there's been pandemics that have, you know, curtailed all sorts of activities for years, pandemics and wars. And, you know, I mean, life is what it is. But I would really like to think that it won't be too long before we can come together and, I mean, ideally make some really beautiful music and experience live music and live art in all its forms. But yeah, it's going to take some time.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Tom.
See you later.